Welcome to Town Square Central. We are joined today by friend of the show and repeated guest. I think you actually might hold the record for most visits at this point.
I mean, that's appropriate.
Yeah. But we have GM Quilic joining us today to talk about the premium auction that will be coming up soon. So Quilic, welcome back to Town Square Central, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me back.
When I first came to Gemstone from like a long hiatus, I read about the God auction and all of those other fun things that happened.
Sure.
And felt kind of sad that I had missed them. And then there was a premium auction, and then we have like Wyromania around Dusk Ruin time, and these other events that sort of happen. So let's start by just talking about what is the premium auction and why are we doing it?
Sure. So this is the inaugural premium auction. It's coming up this Saturday in a few days here. So what we're doing is, over the past 2 years, I'd put out requests a few different times to the player base saying, what kind of things would you guys like to see? I mean, I would normally frame it within a particular event or something like that. I'd be like, okay, at Premium Fest this year, what sort of things would you like to see offered? Or what sort of things would you like to see offered, on 4 Winds or things like that? And I some posts on the officials, and I combed through all of the response that I got, and a lot of it was actually reflected in the recently concluded Premium Fest. It was, we were doing all new shops anyway, and most of the things that were on the list that had been requested by players that was, doable. We did. We put into shops and we sold it, and everybody was very happy, which was great. But the flip side of that was there were a lot of things that were requested that were really a step or 2 or 3 or 4 above what could really realistically be sold in a shop at Premium Fest. So for those, it's like, well, okay, are any of these that we could raffle off? And we did a couple of pretty nice raffles at Premium Fest. Again, the same sort of thing. We're trying to work off the list as much as possible. But there were still some things that it just didn't make sense to even raffle off. Like, people were, shooting the moon, which, that's what you get when you put out a call for, hey, what do you guys want?
Yeah, they're gonna tell you what they want,
Yeah, and there were enough ideas from that it kind of gave me this idea, which is, okay, what would be a way that we could potentially distribute some of these sort of nicer things that people want through premium? And so I just had sort of that grain of an idea, and at some later point, I came back to the idea a little bit, and I was looking over the list of things that had been asked for, and I was like, man, this almost feels like auction level stuff, like you were saying, like a grand auction or something like that. That's a tier of things that people are used to using. It's a very general term, but I was like, that's kind of the level these feel. And I was like, well, I wonder if we could do an auction. And then from there, it kind of clicked, and I went through the list. I started with, again, the list was provided by the players. Was able to get some of the stuff off there, but really it was just once the idea got rolling, quite a few people started weighing in, and we came up with a list of interesting things, and we're looking forward to it. I mean, it's not going to be, not to jump ahead a little bit here, but I mean, one of the things that has come up a lot is people are trying to find a way to classify what level of things are going to be available at this auction. And the only frame of reference people have is, the God auctions, in 2016, or, the Mania sessions or things like that. And it's like, it's really, really hard for me to ballpark, and I don't want to oversell or create an expectation we can't live up to. So I've been generally telling people it's a step or 2 below sort of those events, while still having some pretty nice stuff in it.
Okay. And you said, so this is the inaugural one. This is the first premium auction that's ever happened. Is that right?
That is correct.
I didn't know that. I thought this was a thing that had occurred before. I guess there have been so many auctions and like high-end event kind of things that maybe they sort of blur together.
We did sort of an impromptu premium point auction during the Premium Fest here recently that was pretty well received. But that's the closest thing I can think of. That was just whatever.
Okay, so this is like a demigod auction, is what we're looking at here.
Sure.
Not quite not quite like everything is legendary and wild, but like well beyond what you would get at like a sort of standard event off the shelf.
So I'm looking at the list of things right now, and again, I don't want to overspeak, so give me just a second here. At the moment, there are 78 lines on my spreadsheet.
Okay.
And each of those lines is, an item that's going in for auction. Now, there are plenty of duplicates, which is, situations where I might have more than one available. Doesn't mean necessarily will go out, things like that. So I think I counted yesterday, and I was at 46 unique items. And of those 46 unique items, I'm going to ballpark here, looking at the list, and say I think maybe 7 of them are probably in the realm of it wouldn't be totally shocking to see them at like for raffle at an event or at a festival or something like that. Everything else is a higher level than that.
Wow. Okay. So this is a premium auction for sure.
Yeah.
So what talk about what people should expect going to this event then? You said it's this weekend. It's on Saturday?
It is Saturday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, in both Plat and Prime at the same time.
Okay. And when I want to go to this event, I bring my 15,000 silver or whatever it is that I've got. What am I expecting? What should I be looking forward to?
If you bring 15,000 silvers, you should look forward to maybe some refreshments and getting to watch people throw around a lot of silvers.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that we're doing is we are not limiting people to one auction one at a time. That's notable because there have been large auctions before where there was a limit, where you could only win one thing, and that was a way to sort of spread things out. We do not have that in place for this auction. So my expectation is that some of these items are going to be pretty expensive. I hesitate to put an actual number of silvers on it, but I know what I would pay for them, assuming I have that much, which I don't.
It's more than 15,000 silver, isn't it?
It's more than 15,000 silvers.
Okay.
So I'm terrible at pricing things at this level, and so I will likely be wrong in this, but I will just say that there are at least 3 items on this list that if I had the silvers, I would pay upwards of 500 million silvers for them.
Wow.
So, and maybe I'm way off base. Maybe that's not how this will go at all. But I'm just saying.
You're saying you anticipate some fireworks at this event.
I think there are likely to be some fireworks at this event.
Okay.
Not the least of which will probably be because I've never run one of these before, and I'm probably gonna crash and burn the whole stupid thing anyway.
I will do my best to be there and to spam you with as much ambient like pet noise as humanly possible, just to make sure it goes really well for you.
That would be perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I expect some fireworks. One point I'll put in just because it fits in here, but it really applies to the whole thing, is the thing with an auction like this is there's no way to make everybody happy. I mean, there just isn't. This is a polarizing type of event. It's one of the reasons why we don't see them a whole lot, because if you've got your 15,000 silvers, realistically, are you going to win anything? No, you're not, and that kind of sucks for you. But it's this is something that some people really enjoy. It's kind of a cool event. I'm actually, for this, I'm going to be setting up a viewing room so people will be able to just watch without having to be like in that room with all this
cool
stuff going down. So there'll be kind of a room off to the side where people can go and watch if they are so inclined. Yeah, I mean, we're doing our best here, but their options are an imprecise method for making everybody happy.
I really want the viewing room to be like the general admission, like standing room only thing, behind like a 2-inch layer of plexiglass, and then the actual auction room is like the champagne room with like silk pillows and just like the most decadent, extravagant nonsense humanly imaginable.
Yeah. I mean, and it's nice in that so we've had a number of updates to the method that we're going to be using to run this. So what I've told people is, look, I'm using the same setup that was used in the 2016 grand auction. So people who are familiar with that, that's kind of what this is going to look like from a spectacle standpoint. There have been some updates to the system, though, over the past few days, actually. GM Vanna and GM Marikai have both dug into it and implemented a lot of really nice quality of life updates. But basically, all of that combined, it should provide a pretty decent spectacle for people in the watching room, because we're anticipating a lot of people in the room. So the room is probably going to have to be some form of silenced, and the form of silence that is likely to be used will also eliminate the ability for people to whisper to my NPC who's going to be running things. So any questions have to be asked and answered out in the open. So even to that level, it should provide some pretty decent spectacle, seeing as what people are planning and what they're up to and that kind of stuff.
Okay. And talk too about why I mean, obviously this is a thing that is fun both to participate in, I wish, and then also just to see. Like, it is spectacle. It's theater.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
bread and circuses. Is that the expression? I wasn't a history guy. Something about bread. Something
Okay.
about gladiators.
Bread. Sure. Yeah.
So in that moment, it's obviously fun, but is there like a larger kind of like purpose for this? Like, I imagine this pulls a ton of silvers out of circulation, which is that a part of the thinking on the GM side of things, or is it more just like
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I approached this from the beginning as just a premium perk. Like, we get premium points, you get transporters, you get all the other premium, you get lockers in every town, all of the other things that you just get as a premium subscriber. I was like, boy, wouldn't this be a neat thing to add to that list? Something that is intermittent. So this is the inaugural auction. It is absolutely not intended to be the final one. I don't know if we're going to run them annually, maybe every 18 months, something like that. We're going to see how this one goes and how the reception is. But I mean, I was like, this would just be a really neat thing to offer that's, just as a premium perk. And that's how it's really put together. And to that end, at auctions, sometimes you see things go out and it's like they've got a reserve price that nobody's really willing to meet, or the minimum bid is really high, or like sometimes you'll see a raffle for a high-end thing, but the tickets are, really expensive, or things like that. Everything on my list is going up for a minimum bid of 20 silvers. So, I mean, there are no reserves. There's no, it's just, this is more of a premium perk than it is trying to maximize the amount of coins that we pull out for each of these items.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's cool, and I love the idea of this being a premium perk, and I'm excited to see whether this drives people into premium who are currently maybe, just what's the regular subscription called? I don't even remember what it's called. Premium?
Standard. No, it's a standard level
Standard?
subscription.
All right, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. No, but this seems like a really awesome perk for folks who are paying that little extra bit for premium, even just to be able to spectate and see. And I'm going to maintain hope that my 15K is going to give me something if it starts at 20. I'm just going to wait till the last item. I'm sure everyone else will have run out of money, and I'll just scoop up all the great stuff at the end. That seems
that's a great
likely.
hope. That you should cling to that. You should absolutely cling to that.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed at all.
I am, if nothing else, an optimist, so I'm going to hold on to that.
That's a good thing to be. I will note, just because it's relevant, there is one other requirement for this auction for people who want to participate, is you have to have been a paid premium subscriber for 80 days before the actual auction event.
So no one can like suddenly create a new premium account and then just cancel and show up.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It's meant to be a premium perk for paid premium players. So.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, let's get to the thing that I'm sure everybody, including myself, really wants to know about, which is, teasers and spoilers, right? So we know you said
Sure.
43 unique items, 47 unique items, like I said, and
Right.
72 total?
78.
Yep, like I said. I got it right the first time.
Yeah.
So give us a little tease. Are all of these items that people have seen before? Is there anything new for this? Like, give us the goods.
So some of this will be rehashing things that I've said elsewhere, but so there is nothing completely brand new debuting at this event, with the small caveat that that there's one thing, maybe two things that you could say were new, in that it's something familiar being presented in a different way than it ever has been before. So and that's enough of the spoiler in that direction.
Okay, I like the intrigue behind that.
That's so, with the exception of a very small number of things, most of this is going to be familiar to people. Again, maybe in slightly different forms, but nothing that's completely brand new. Like, wait, what in the world is this? How does this even work? Most of this stuff is going to have readily available wiki links for people to look up what it is. So
Okay,
so nothing completely new.
okay, so nothing brand new, but one thing maybe kind of new, or a couple things. Tell us then, what else? What else can we expect?
So my list is broken up into three categories. You can make an argument for four, but and so when I started off, my thought process was I wanted to keep it even between fluff and mechanical stuff. I wanted to have roughly equal power levels and roughly equal number of things for both of those people who have preferences. I quickly ended up with a third because there's a decent, and this is the first time I think I'm actually just coming out and saying this, there's a decent amount of custom things that are going to be available. So there's a whole different section for customization on my spreadsheet of various kinds. And that actually ended up being almost equal as well. So really, you could, at that point, I'm at three, categories that are within squinting distance of each other as far as number of items and power levels. And I'll also say there's a good amount of overlap. So some of the things that I have as well, okay, I'll just throw this out there. So I'm looking at a cloak-worn object that has a whole ton of fluff verbs. So so that initially was started out on my fluff list, but then it's got some other properties to it that I would say make it pretty solid mechanically as well. So then it's like, well, how do I categorize that for myself? Or like, I can't give you numbers for, I have this many mechanical, this many, fluff, because there's a good number of items that there's overlap on.
Yeah, and like some really powerful mechanical items also are really fun from like a fluff point of view, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah, there's going to be some things that there's definitely going to be some things that people recognize kind of early on, so there'll be a familiarity there as well. But by and large, I'm pretty happy with the list that we have to distribute. I will say that, like I said, I have duplicates for a lot of these things that might not go out. That's the one case where there's a small instance of a reserve. So like one item will go out, for sure, regular auction. All the unique items on here will go up for auction at least once. But if the winning bid reaches a certain threshold, based on whatever it is, I might be able to offer matching at that point. It's like, oh, okay, since that sold for the amount that it did, I can offer one more or two more at that price and let people have a chance to match it if they're so inclined.
Okay, I see. Got it.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the services, I would say, probably half of the things that are, well, maybe a little less than half, like a third of the things on the total list are going to be delayed services. There's of various kinds where it's like, you're not going to win the auction and get handed a thing. For some of this stuff you will, but for a lot of them you're actually going to get handed a prop of some kind that will let you redeem your win and handle it all as a delayed service. So you will redeem your token or whatever it is I come up with for it, and it will start the email process to get whatever it is that you're working on taken care of.
Okay. I have a question for you. What
Sure.
is the do any of these items reach back super far to your knowledge in terms of their origin? Like, are any of these coming from a long time ago? Are there any real like callback, throwback items in here?
There is one item that I that I think of that way, but I will put the caveat in that it might have gone out. I know it's gone out at least a few times, and this one may have gone out more recently that I'm aware of. So I don't want to say for sure, but I have one thing on here that I believe has not seen the light of day for a while. So we'll see. I could be
Okay.
mistaken about that, but there's something on there that I like.
Okay. Is there anything that is gonna be here that you want to explicitly name? Like this thing will be available to really tease people, or well, rather, I guess to do the
Well,
opposite of that, to
the
like give
opposite of
them
that.
yeah, or do you want to have everything be like shrouded in mystery?
So I'm trying to keep things mostly shrouded in mystery. I've talked about this a little bit. So this is the first auction I'm running in game. Now we have plenty of people on staff who have run plenty of auctions, um, and I kind of made it a point to talk to as many of those people as I could before even announcing this to the players or anything like that. And basically, to each person, I went, look, I haven't done this before. What would be your recommendations? How would you recommend I go about this? What are the pitfalls to watch out for? How do I get around those pitfalls? What do you wish you had known? All those sorts of conversations. And I had a series of those conversations. And what most people went with, to be honest, was look, you should not release a list ahead of time because we've always had a problem with collusion. And now I've seen people scoff about it, and it's a joke and that kind of thing. But literally 100% of the people that I spoke to who had run these auctions said it's a problem, and it takes it just this is a way to eliminate any issue with that.
Meaning
Um,
that like you and I are buddies, and we go in and we collectively control 800 million silver or silvers, and so we see something come up that we know is coming, and I say, look, I'll ease off on this one if you ease off on that one.
that's part of it, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, that's probably honestly the most common is again, you and I are both there, and it's like we've both seen the list, so we can even beforehand go in and say, hey, together we've got these 800 million silvers. I know you want item A. I want item B. Let's see which one comes up first. We'll pool our money. If we have enough to get both, that's great. If not, you know,
Sort of
adjust
figure it
our
out on the back end. Yeah, I got
yeah,
you. I
and
got you.
basically work together because that this item is coming. You know that item B is coming. Um, and while this is not the point of this is to be a premium perk, it's also an auction because these are really decent items and services and things like that. So there's, we want to make sure that they're at least going out for reasonable value. So I mean, we're trying to limit the collusion as much as possible.
Yeah, that makes
That could
I
come that can come from having a pre-built list ahead of time. Because the other thing with that is, say you see the list today and you're like, oh man, item B, I gotta have item B. This is I'm not I'm not even going to look at anything else because I know item B is coming. And then so say we get to the auction and you see all kinds of things go up ahead of you that you're like, oh man, that's really neat, but I'm not going to bid because I'm going after item B. Every penny of my 800 million is going towards item B, and then item B comes up as the second to last item, and you're like, I'm in, man, I'm full on, and then somebody outbids you. Well, you walk away with nothing. You didn't, and maybe somebody else was targeting item B because they saw it as well. So they didn't spend their money earlier in the auction and be like, oh no, I can't. I bought these other two pretty cool things, but now I can't afford to bid on item B.
It also
I,
takes out, I think, part of the fun metagaming of like a thing like this, which is the uncertainty is a big part of the fun, right? Like you have to decide,
I
is it
think, yeah.
worth? Yeah, I mean, is it worth dropping my mythical 800 million on like this thing that I really really want that just came up that I'm really excited about, or do I hold some in reserve for something that might come down the pipe later? You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of dynamics like that in play too. I mean, there's also the one where, okay, you've got your 800 million that you're sitting on, but you've got 250 million of that, 100% bookmarked for something else. So you're eyeing a new OSA ship upgrade or something like that or whatever. And it's like, I technically have this money, but I'm not going to touch it. Is what you tell yourself going in. But then something comes up that you're like, you know what? screw the boat upgrade. I've got to have this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so you weren't expecting it. You didn't know, it's kind of an impulse, oh, holy crap, I got to have that. Let's screw the boat upgrade. I'd rather have this. And so you can get people to change their minds, in the moment and that kind of thing. You can also do it with price matching. It's like, say, item B comes up and you're holding back. You're like, no, I'll just, but then item B sells for 300 million. And you're looking, and then it's like, okay, for 300 million, I'll take a couple of matching. Then you have that moment of, man, I could just buy it for that. It's like, this isn't even an auction anymore. It's like, for one time, it's like, that's might be, it gives you an option to splurge with your silvers if you so desire.
So I just love the forced pain of, like, someone is going to save their money for too long and will miss out on something, and I think that's wonderful. And someone is going to spend their money way too early and then realize that you had some neat little thing up your sleeve the whole time, and then at the end, they're going to wish that they hadn't spent it. And I think both of those are part of what makes something like this fun. So as much as I would love to see
spectacle, like we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the show, and it's the anger and frustration that this creates is absolutely part of it. And I think, as much as I would love to have, like, the full list and to be able to see it, it would take away this sort of, like, Christmas morning vibe of the whole thing, of like, wait, what's up next? What's up next?
Well, and, there's some of that with this, because I'm not giving you the list, and I'm not giving you any particular items off the list. So pretty much everything is going to be oh, okay, all right. That's, because everybody has their own sort of mental ranking system for, how good something is. That's all subjective. And, people will be able to dial it in over the course of this, probably after the first 10 or so items, people are going to go, okay, this is what level we're dealing at here. This is the level of, things we can expect and things like that. But then, of course, like you said, you have to hope that that's a good assessment. There's not something at the end that it's like, oh, holy crap. So.
Yeah. No, I'm excited, and I just checked. I did a bank account full check. And I found that I have 22 million silver. Okay. In all my little bank accounts, and so on the 22nd item, whatever it is, I'm just going to open the bidding at 22 million silver. It feels like the right move. Don't change your list. I want it to be random, but I'm just cold calling it.
Let me check here. So item number 22 on the list. You're 22 million, you said?
Yep, that's what yep.
You got a shot.
All right.
You got a shot for 22 mil.
It's a called shot. Whatever it is, I'm going to be really excited if I get it. This is not collusion, by the way. No one should tell me. You should bid as normal. Bid as normal.
Well, they won't know which item,
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So now, if I open it and say, this is starting with an opening bid of 22 million by Milax, then that might, change things up.
I'm fine with it. I just want to contribute to the chaos a little bit.
It's going to be plenty of chaos with or without your contribution, but thank you for your efforts.
It's what I do. Okay, so any other, like, teasers or hints that you want to give about maybe, like, the nature of some of these items or anything along those lines?
So a couple of small things. These are nothing huge, but there are a few things that are going to go out that can only be, well, they're ways for people to add on to private properties. And in order to win, you have to already have a private property. So I'll put that out there. So for people who do own a private property that are, on the fence about coming out, there will be at least one or two things that are made available for people with private properties. So I'll put that out there. One other note that I wanted to make sure made it in was people have been asking about, should you bring all of your alts out? Since this room is going to have to be at least partially unsilenced, I'm trying to discourage that as much as possible. So there will be no room-wide RPAs given. I know people love those. That's not happening. There will be no door prizes given out. So, I'm not just going to be spinning and handing people things. So there's no point to bring out your extra, accounts for that. For any customization services, actually, you know what? Since at this point most people will have already put at least this together, I'm going to explicitly reveal one thing that is going to be auctioned off. and that is I'm just going to pick one of
Roll a
custom
d6. Roll a d6.
custom post name title. So this is the same thing as getting one through a Sadie scroll using your premium points. Has to go through the same process. You're going to have a GM work with you offline to craft something that has a good chance to get past QC. I know that titles have been a source of frustration for some people. We're very close to having a document put out that people can use to sort of help them come up with something that will work, something they can have a reasonable expectation will pass QC. So that's one of the items that's being offered. So because obviously a custom title gets applied to a particular character, then that might mean, oh, well, shoot, you do need to bring all your alts because Bob 3, your gem mule, might be the one that you want to have the custom post name title. So in order to prevent you needing to bring him so that he can get it, we're going to have these be transferable, but for a very short period of time. So say you win this auction, say for the custom post name title, you'll get your prop that you have to use that initiates the email process that I talked about earlier. But it's only good for probably 30 minutes, something like that. So you have 30 minutes to do whatever you're going to do with it, but somebody needs to redeem that within 30 minutes. Otherwise, it's no good. It's going to expire. So,
I see.
So if you want to, if you win it and want to log in Bob 3, step outside and hand it off to him and he can redeem it, great, you're done. Say you win it and you want to give it to your best friend because they really want it more than, this is something they've been really wanting to get for a while and you get it for them as a gift. Again, no problem. You step outside or you text him or shoot him a message saying, hey, man, get online. I just got this. We've got 27 minutes and counting. But it lets you transfer things within a certain time period. We don't want these to linger forever. We want to get the process started on these.
Right. So if you want, Bob 3 to be Bob 3, the gem encrusted, you can just, pass it along to him.
Exactly.
Or if you want to give it to your favorite local gemstone podcaster, you can do that too, right? There's nothing stopping you.
There is nothing stopping you.
Except common sense.
Except common sense. You could win that one and go and toss it down the well if you wanted to make some kind of a statement. Go for it.
Yeah. Down with capitalism. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So it might not be 30 minutes, but it will be something along those lines. It'll just be a short period of time. And again, the whole point for this is I'm trying to eliminate any reason for people to bring a lot of alts to the room because as it is, I'm expecting a decent turnout for this, and the room's probably going to get quite noisy. So we're trying to
no need to pack it with random characters hoping for freebies or giveaways or anything. You'll be able to transfer. Yeah, Bob 3 can stay at his wayside inn table laden with gems, and he'll be just fine.
Exactly.
In his set. Have you watched the show Severance?
I have not.
Okay,
I'm much of a TV watcher.
Anyone who's watched Severance will know that Bob 3 lives the innie life. Poor Bob 3. And you should watch Severance. You'd really love it, I think.
I will make a note.
Yeah. With all your free time.
Yes.
Any other little hints you want to drop here?
I'm trying to think. I'm looking. There are things that I would love to be able to throw out there wholesale, and there's things that I'm very much looking forward to seeing people's reactions. I know one last little tidbit I wanted to kind of throw out there. I've been asked a few times, what do I expect the lowest item to go for? Or what's the range? So like you with your 15,000. You're asking me, should I even bother to show up? I mean, that's what the question boils down to, right? It's like, do you think with X amount of silvers to my name, I have a chance at winning anything at this auction? I've said it a few times already. I've never done this before. And I will also note that as a player, I never had that much money, so I never attended one of these even as a player. So take this with a huge boulder of salt. But I do believe that there are items on this list that will go for under 10 million silvers. The reason that I believe that is because I have seen items that I'm fairly certain are of similar value sell in that range just in the course of normal gemstoning. So, like from player to player.
Okay. So there's it's not just a whale's ocean out there. Like there's room for the little fishes.
There's going to be some, well, and I would agree completely with what you were saying. I will also say there's going to be items on here, a decent number of items that are just not of any interest to some people. Of course, everything on here is going to appeal to somebody, but there are going to be, sections where I don't expect, the same people who are bidding on the last few things to have any interest at all in these things. So there's some niche stuff. There's some stuff with kind of already commonly accepted values out there. So that's going off of those things is why I'm cautiously optimistic that 10 million or less. But I've been told by a few different players and at least one GM that players get into these things and they're like, well, it's an auction. I'm here. I've got silvers. I'm here to It's like,
yeah. What am I going to do? Not win at an auction? Get out of here.
Am I not going to bid on something?
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So, no one comes to the auction to lose.
Yes. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, like I said, I think there's a chance that we have at least 2 or 3 items that end up going for less than 10 million. I've been assured that won't happen, and so at this point I wouldn't be shocked. But still, I will say that after the auction, if some of these things go for more than 10 million, I will say that they overpaid. So.
Okay. Well, I am going to bid an IOU for multiple items that I'm sure is good for its value, which is nothing. It's not worth anything.
I did get one actual question that I will answer here live. Somebody asked if there was going to be layaway available, and there is not.
Yeah, monthly payments in the form of moot hall errands being run on your behalf.
Right,
until the debt's paid off. So like 400 years.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So I'm going to ask a couple of teasing questions you can choose to answer or not. Okay.
Okay. Fair.
Are any of these items religiously themed?
Yes. Let me give you an approximate number. Hang on. Let me just confirm my memory here. So there are a handful, less than a handful, so fewer than 5, that I would say are absolutely religious themed. There are others that could be. There are others that
definitely are not.
Yes.
Okay. You've said that there's something for people who want to customize their, fancy pants homes. Is there something for people who like mounts and riding things around?
There is not. There's nothing like that coming up on the list.
Yeah. Rumor woods just happened to people, so, chill
That's
out,
true.
okay? Get out of here. Is there something related to weapon or armor services?
There is.
Okay. Is there something related to special flares of some kind?
I will choose not to answer that.
Okay. All right. Take the 5th. Is there something that will be related to feature concealing? I just think feature concealing stuff's really cool. So it's just a...
Yes. Yes,
okay.
But... Well, right. Let me just say it this way. Yes, but not in the way that you're thinking.
Okay. All right. That's mysterious, but okay. Is there something that could normally only be bought during Dusk Ruin that will be auctioned at this event?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then everyone's favorite things, or I guess maybe least favorite, depending on how you feel about this. Will there be pets available of some kind?
Yes. And you can use the multiple there.
Okay, PETS.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? Can I suggest a service for the future?
Sure.
And maybe this exists. I've been MIA for a while. I have a fox, right, that I got at Rumor Woods.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. Can you customize those yet?
Don't think so. That would be a Tandiwa question. Okay. And I don't know if she has enabled that or not.
Well, nothing brings me more joy than harassing Tandua with requests, so I will do that. But no one else should. Don't bother her. She's a lovely person. Okay, so multiple pets, religious items aplenty, no mounts.
No mounts.
I'm trying to remember what else we said was okay for me to say. And just plenty of other like really exciting items that are gonna be here. And the mystery is why we show up anyway, right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
There's a few what I would call the top tier items on here that are that I think will be well received. Will hopefully be well received. So we'll put it that way.
I'm really pumped, and I know that other people are really pumped. So, just to reiterate this event is taking place when and at what time?
This is taking place the 30th, so Saturday of this month, and starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. There will be I'm going to put out a post probably in the next day or so with basically everything that you need to know if you're coming to the auction. Here's where to go. Here's what to expect. Here's what to bring. All that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. I'll make sure it's an announcement and put it all over the place. But that'll be sort of everybody's guide to, okay, so here's how we're going to run this auction.
Okay, and GM Quilic really means it when he says don't bring your alts. There's not going to be a surprise RPA. There's no door prizes. This is purely for love of the money competition or for the spectacle or both.
Sure. So one other tidbit of this is some of the what I would say are lesser prizes, even though there's nothing I consider actually lesser, are probably going to be available via like trivia or like maybe a scavenger hunt, something like that. I don't anticipate very much of this, and none of it would benefit from you having alts in the room. So there's not going to be any random choice spinners or anything like that. So again, trying to keep the room size down, but there will be most likely there will be at least a few things that go out through non-traditional means. Nothing that's the only iteration of that item though. So like if I only have one of this thing to auction off, then it's not going out.
I see.
In a non-traditional means.
It'll be like, hey, the first person who gives me a moldy bone can. Oh God! But the first person who can do that will get this.
Sure.
Okay.
So that's
all right.
I mean, and yes, you can make an argument for needing alts in the room if they're holding, all of your moldy bones or something like that.
But yeah, my moldy bone mule.
That's Bob. That's Bob 9.
Bob 9. He is the saddest of the Bob clan, and he's just a weird dude.
Really, really strange. Yes.
But the spirit of the scavenger hunt thing is it's for fun, right? Like this is it's not going to be the like biggest ticket item is happening this way, so you need to come with every trash item you could possibly find. No. More just like this will be a for fun thing for people who are there.
Exactly. And the door is going to stay open to the auction, and there'll actually be two ways into the auction. So one will be the normal portal that everybody uses. One will be a portal to enter the auction from the viewing area. So, I might even say, hey, we're going to do a scavenger hunt type item. So anybody who's in the watch room and wants to come in and participate, come on in, so we can do this. So people will be able to freely enter and leave both from the waiting/viewing area and the main entrance.
You'll let the plebs in for just a minute, to smell the rarefied air of the auction house.
That's sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that all sounds awesome, and I am very excited for this, and I'm also excited for a new tradition for premium members. And it sounds like you are very invested in doing what the people ask for. So I'm sure there will be a round of like feedback and adjustment based on how this goes for the next time around.
Oh yeah, no, I fully intend for this to be a complete train wreck.
Yeah.
But I mean, the nice thing is that the more stuff we can break this time, or let's be honest, the more stuff I can break this time, the better I'll be next time. So it's come out expecting chaos. I'm going to be losing my mind. I'm going to mess everything up. And hopefully some people come away with some nice items. But then next time we do this, we'll be able to do it much, much better.
Okay. I'm excited. And I think you've achieved a good balance of tantalizing and teasing,
Nice.
which is I think the goal. Or at least that would be my goal if I were planning something like this.
Yeah, definitely. That was the idea. So I'm glad it came across.
All right. Well, for our folks who have been premium members for 80 days or more, come out this Saturday, the 30th, at 9 p.m. Eastern. Where?
That'll be in the post. It's going to be on Mist Harbor. I mean, the portal to enter it will be probably like one step off of Gardenia Commons, something like that. But I'll make sure and distribute that.
I guess that makes sense. So, on Four Winds Isle, Saturday night at 9 o'clock.
That's it.
All right. Well, GM Quilic, thank you as always for joining us. I'm excited to see you in fully stressed out mode, and I'm sure you're excited both to run this and for this to be over so that you can begin prepping for the next thing that you're planning.
Yes, I would agree with all of that.
All right.
I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to it being over.
Yeah, like all great things. Well,
exactly.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you shortly.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Sitting at my 4-year-old's desk.
Excellent.
Perfect. Okay.